So I am 27, just found out I might be the affair partner of a married woman. Now I'm questioning everything about our relationship. For my job, I travel between 3 different states about every week or so. I will be at one job site for a week, then the next for a week, and so on. Things changes as needed. Date of travel, location, and duration of the job. I don't have kids or in a serious relationship. I met this woman, G, over a year ago. She was at a bar that some of my coworkers likes to go after shift. I went to get a round for the group, and she was also getting a drink. We began talking. I introduced myself, and she herself. Ended up talking most of the night. But we left it at the bar. We talked a few more times over the course of a month, also at said bar, local place. She said she was divorced and not looking for anything. That turned into her just wanting nothing serious and something fun and casual. Due to the nature of my job with traveling and the unpredictability of my schedule, I agreed. We exchanged numbers, and that was that. We usually would hook up about 4 to 8 times a month. Over the course of the past year, most of the time we would be at the hotel I was put up in. She said she lived far and I was closer, safer option. I never questioned her because she was always available, spent the night weekends, and was not glued to her phone. I really didn't have any reason to question her. It was fun, and we had a good connection. So that was until last night. We were hanging out when I needed to get somethings from the store, and she came with me. We were doing some shopping, having a good time, joking, flirting, and laughing. As we were going down an aisle, we heard someone yell, "G, is that you?" G's demeanor changed. Red feud RF red flag. It turns out that person was an old work friend of G's. They talked a little bit when this friend asked who I was. I politely introduced myself. So when the lady asked how we knew each other, G quickly said, he's an old friend from town she grew up in, RF2. Then the lady asked G, what is David up to? Another awkward shift, RF3. And G said something about he is doing fine, busy wuth, but she clearly did not want to talk about it. David is her husband. They finished the conversation soon after, and I went back to shopping. After we get out of the store, I asked her what that was all about. She said it was nothing and wants to put it behind her, RF4. She was distant the whole way back to the hotel. I could tell her mind was on something miles, kilometers away, RF5. I asked if she was okay, and she said yes, just fine. Then she cut the night short, making a terrible excuse, and left. Riff 6. She was originally supposed to see me off this morning. Up to this point, it didn't occur to me that she might have lied about being divorced. I tried to look her up on the Book of Face. I could not find her on it under the name I knew, RF6. There was a private account that might have been her but a different last name. I couldn't investigate further due to account setting. I'm now on my way to a different job site and won't be back for probably 15 days. She did not respond to my text asking if she was all right or what was going on. The situation is odd and feels off. Not sure what to do. P.S. I do get tested regularly and have always been clean. Next story.
Confronted my husband for requesting a dadcation. While I juggle all responsibilities, at home I'm wrong for thinking it's completely selfish. So I, 21F, am currently 7 months pregnant with our first baby, and my husband, 32M, has been super supportive throughout the pregnancy. He's attended every appointment, helps out around the house more, and I really appreciate him for that. However, a few days ago, he dropped this insane idea on me, and I'm still reeling. He says he wants to go on a dadcation after the baby is born, basically a vacation for just him. He wants to go somewhere with his friends to unwind after the stress of pregnancy and getting ready for the baby. He actually had the audacity to tell me that since I'll get time off for maternity leave, he should get time off too, just to relax. I was honestly shocked. I told him that he's not the one pushing out a baby, and I'm the one who will be physically recovering, breastfeeding, and doing the bulk of the baby care in those early weeks. He just brushed it off, saying he'd help when he got back, but a few days away wouldn't hurt. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I straight up told him that this dadcation idea was completely selfish and unrealistic. He's a grown man and should understand that the baby will need both of us, especially in those first few weeks. He got defensive and said I was overreacting and that he deserves a break too since he's been so supportive during my pregnancy. Now he's sulking and barely talking to me, saying I don't appreciate him or the sacrifices he's made for me during this time. I feel like I'm losing my mind here. I've been dealing with all the physical and emotional ups and downs of pregnancy, and he's acting like he needs a reward for it. Am I missing something? I'm starting to feel guilty because he has been great, but asking for a vacation right after our baby is born just feels so wrong. So, Eta for telling him he's being selfish and that a dadcation is not happening.
Next story. Chose not to reveal why certain family members weren't invited to my wedding. Now everyone's upset. Am I in the wrong? Recently, my boyfriend, 25M, and I, 24M of 4 years, recently got married. I come from a very traditional, if not stereotypical, Latino family. The chisme, gossip, is deeply ingrained in the whole family. I have about 7 uncles, one of which is also bisexual like myself. He got married some time ago, and when he sent out invites to the whole family, a large majority of them declined, because religious reasons, which really saddened him. I kept this in mind when it came time to send out my invitations, and those particular family members did not get one. About a week ago, my husband and I went to my dad's house for the annual family reunion. I really didn't want to go because I knew in the back of my mind this absolutely was going to get around, despite the lack of posting on any social media, but my dad and mom really wanted me there. They are very supportive and the be loud and proud type people, and I love them to death for it. Even if it's a little obnoxious, the spirit is what counts though, right? I voiced this concern to my dad, and he was very insistent that if Shay T goes south, he'll be right there to laugh about it. The entire time, my husband and I are getting some intense side eye. The family that didn't attend didn't even try to hide the fact that they were whispering about my husband and I. About 2 hours later, as I am 6 or so whiskeys in, the straight uncles took initiative and decided to ambush me and ask why they weren't invited. So I was polite and reminded them that they turned down the bi uncle's wedding for the religious reasons. They responded with at least wanting to be thought about and being invited. I told them that I did think about them and decided they weren't worth the $0.57 postage to be told they weren't going to attend for bigoted reasons. It would be understating to say that their reaction was less than pleased. Shay, TT, multiple fans. My uncles went off for being compared to a postage stamp. My dad was eating it up, so my mom was a little pissy at me for causing a disturbance in her house though, which unfortunately made me question everything at that moment. So my grandma was giving me the judges in Spanish look. My husband kind of grabbed my hand and said, "Let's get out of here before you piss off any more people," in a laughing manner, and proceeded to drive us home. My dad sent me a "That's my boy. Good on you for standing up for yourself" text. My mom was still less than thrilled about how things went down. My bi uncle sent me a text saying thank you for standing up for me, but now my relationship with my brothers is strained to hell, and I didn't want that. My phone and social media have been blowing the hell up ever since then, but I'm kind of ignoring it though. But I do feel bad for my uncle because he just wants to be close with all his brothers and not just one. So, ATA for how things went down. Next story.
Refused to participate in my mom's wedding to a man she's been dating less than a year now. The family's divided. Am I wrong? My 19F parents got divorced 2 years ago or so. It was an amicable process, and they still have a good relationship with each other. My dad, 46M, currently has a girlfriend, but has told me he doesn't plan to get married again in the near future. At first, my mom, 44F, wasn't interested in dating after the divorce. She just focused on her work and volunteering. Nevertheless, while doing volunteer work, she connected with Cyrus, 47M, and they started dating earlier this year. He is a pastor at a church nearby. Our family has never been too religious or anything, so they had met in the past, but were never close until now. Ow. Cyrus himself seems like a perfectly good person, and my mom was delighted by him. Last week my mom said she wanted to talk to me alone about something serious. We went to have breakfast outside, and she explained the situation to me. She told me that her relationship with Cyrus was serious, and they wanted to move in together. The issue, of course, was that Cyrus couldn't do that without them getting married. She said that, after seriously thinking about it, she agreed to marry him so they can fully be together. I was stunned. She acknowledged it was a little crazy, but was really convinced about it being the right choice. I expressed my total opposition to the idea and demanded that they should wait at least a year before getting married, otherwise I would take not part on it. My mom said I was being unreasonable, but she would give me some time to think about it more. I have talked with my friends about this, and some agree with me, but others say I shouldn't get in the way of my mom's happiness.